had this conversation yesterday, right? Let me talk about the gacha system real quick. I'm just purely talking about the character banner, not the weapon one right now. It is, you're guaranteed to obtain the feature 5-star character within 100 draws. Okay, within 100 pulls, you guarantee the character. Otherwise, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of getting her, right? It's a 25-75. However, I'm gonna use War as an example. War has the 50-50 system, whereby if you lose the 50-50, the next time will be a guarantee. And it's 160 max pity, usually, right? 160 max pity with a soft pity at like 70 or 69, right? On average, people will usually pull or have to do 100 pulls anyway, thereabouts, in like WoW to get their guarantee character. Hello, Editing Cab here, just to clear up because I was doing this off the cuff for some hard evidence and data. For Wuthering Waves, on average, people will be doing 81 pulls to guarantee a character, and for Silver Palace, given this system, it will be around 87 pulls to guarantee a character, so very similar. The worst case scenario for Silver Palace is better than WoW, because the worst case scenario is always going to be 100 pulls, rather than 160. In terms of, it's the worst case scenario is so much better, right? However, the best case scenario is WoW, whereby you could get a dupe, right? You could do a 10 pull and get a dupe, and you always know if you lose one, the second one, you're going to get your character no matter what. If you lose a 50-50, you know your next one's guaranteed no matter what. So if you get two like 5 stars, you know one of them is going to be the one that you want. Whereas in Silver Palace, if you get a dupe, it's no guarantee that the second one is going to be the one that you want, right? So the best case scenario is better in a game like WoW in terms of the character selection banner, but the worst case scenario is worse. Because the worst case scenario could be you go to 160 max pity. However, the likelihood of that happening, probably not likely. But the worst case scenario of Silver Palace is 100 pull guarantee. But the problem is that losing multiple times and not getting the character that you want I crashed. Doesn't feel good, right? I just crashed again. Losing multiple times doesn't feel good, right? It's the problem with Arcanite's Enfield, and I've always said that, right? The fact that it happened to me that you can lose on the run up to like a 120 pity 5 times, sometimes that could happen, and you lose every single time, doesn't feel good. Even though statistically you're doing the same amount of pulls, it doesn't feel good. And sometimes the way people feel matters more than what the actual reality is. People would much rather spend 100 pulls losing a 50-50 and then guaranteeing it next time they'll feel better about it, rather than losing two like 25-75s on the run up to 100 pity. You know, that's just the way it is. Sometimes the numbers don't matter. Sometimes the way people feel matters more. Now, the weapon banner or the motive, the motive is different because it's. I'll be real. Again, it's one of those things whereby it's kind of the same. Sorry, Editing Cat back again to add a bit more context. I was kind of waffling a little bit in that. So for the motive, it's a little bit of a different story. It's not quite as equal on average for Silver Palace and Wuthering Waves. Because in Wuthering Waves, I'm just using it as a base example, it's 80 max pity, and it's always a guarantee. There's no 50-50, it's always a guarantee. And I'll be real, when it comes to weapons or motives or accessories to characters, we need to completely scrap 50-50s. It's there. So many games are doing it now, and I just think, I really do think it just needs to go. I don't see any reason. When the average for the character banner is already quite similar to others on the market, there's no reason to have the motive be worse. It is objectively worse because it is a 50-50. And that really means, on average, the number of pulls you need to do to get the WoW weapon is going to be 54. And for Silver Palace to get the motive, it's going to be 67. 67! Go! Right? So there's zero reason. There's absolutely zero reason to have the motive on average be more higher than the current market average, let's say, especially when the character banner is already quite similar on average in pulls. If you do a law of averages, it's at literally the fucking same, but people just don't like losing, and people don't like the idea that you can lose. You could lose on getting this does technically punish. It could punish you for being lucky. Whereas in WoW, if you're lucky and get it in a 10 pull, you know it's going to be a guarantee. Whereas in this time, being lucky, you don't know if it's going to be a guarantee. WoW always rewards the luckiest. That's the difference if you want to compare them. WoW always rewards the luckiest, but it has a worst case scenario. This doesn't necessarily reward you for being lucky. but on average, it will kind of be the same. So that's how I view this anyway. I don't know. WoW has a worst case scenario, but a better best case scenario. But the law of averages say that both of them were kind of the same anyway. So I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Most important thing is the pull economy. If we're getting 60, 70 pulls of patch like Enfield, it'll be cooked. Yeah, obviously everything depends on pull economy. But like, again, I've said this so many times when it comes to pull economy. You could have the worst gacha system on planet Earth. You could have a 0.000% fucking rate to get a rate up, right? It could be 500 pity. But if you give people loads of pulls, it doesn't matter how bad the gacha system is, right? So I really hate this terminology of like, oh, it just depends on pull economy. Like, yes, that's true. But it also means that the actual wordings of these systems don't really fucking matter. Right? The actual wordings of these systems legitimately don't matter at all. It's just what they give you. So like people arguing about what's a better gacha system is just kind of cooked. The only time it really matters is if like pity doesn't carry over, for example, like in Enfield. That's been an L. And I'll always say that's an L. That pity not carrying over, like I think really does kind of suck. But that's not really a problem with Silver Palace. So like it's not comparable. I don't think Silver Palace's gacha is that bad. I don't think it's bad. I think on average it's literally the same. Like on paper it's the same, but people aren't going to like it because you could still lose more. You could still like if the pull economy is like the same for like WoW and Silver Palace, for example, you can pull the same amount of times, you will get the same amount of limited characters on each. Like that's what the math would come out to be. Like you will actually have the same amount of limited characters. Like no, like if the pull income, if you could summon the same amount of times on WoW and Silver Palace, you'll probably end up with very similar rate of getting limited characters. WoW allows you to be luckier. The Silver Palace doesn't. What about NTE? Okay, if you're going to talk about NTE is better out of everyone in terms of character selection, right? Because it's always guaranteed. And what's the pity? I forget what the pity is for NTE. It's easy to get a character, but when it comes to people's spending habits, I would put money on people putting money on to get skins for that character, because I think like something like funds is a resource that people care sometimes equally to like character summoning currency sometimes. 90 guarantee with 70 hard pity. Yeah, like in terms of actually obtaining characters, NTE is best, but they're making their money from skins and things that funds get you. So people, they actually really want people's purchasing power to not, like, they can afford to lower their purchasing power of their gacha, right? It's almost like a loss leader in a way. They're okay with having a guarantee and a lower pity because they want you to spend on funds to get other stuff in the game that they release. Skins or whatever. Or they want you to keep summoning on the board to get like a gacha exclusive skins. Right? So you keep rolling. So even though you've got the character, you might want to keep rolling. So they're banking on that. A lot of gacha players just see it as like the gacha banner itself and just the gacha system and how you pull on. But companies see you as a customer of how much you're willing to spend on the game as overall. And an NTE, they've weighed like the gacha character selecting down and they've pushed up everything else around it. That's why they have so many skins, so many things you buy with funds. And you've got things like it's the whole game's economy revolves around that, which is very different to what every other game has done so far. But Silver Palace doesn't have that. It doesn't surrounded by skins. It's not surrounded by anything else. It's kind of similar to WoW in the sense of like its main drive of spending is the gacha, right? The character gacha, the weapon gacha. And on average, if assuming the currency and the amount of times you could summon is the same as WoW, on average, it would actually be very much the same. But like I said, WoW, something like WoW would allow you to be luckier. But on average, it would come out to be the same anyway. But that's my take on it. So technically, NTE gacha system for character summoning, yes, is better. But you have to consider the full scope of like what gacha companies want from a person or how they view an individual when you're coming to like as purchasing power.